Done.
This started after I left the London School of Furniture. I built guitars in my garage for a while, and 25 years later, there are now 10 of us building our own brand of unique guitars out of our workshop in Canterbury. Hi, I'm Alister Atkin from Atkin Guitars. Welcome to episode 12 of the workshop videos. This week we're going to be showing you some neck carving. Mark's going to be inlaying some rosettes. We're going to show you this week's 10 guitars that we've finished, and we've got a special guitar that's been painted by our friend Ian Ward, guitar number 2000. Give you a little look at that as well. Hope you enjoy the show.
I'm just getting to the end of knocking back the binding on this one.
Nice.
Yes. So we're almost done with this batch.
Yeah.
We've got that lot up there which you're going to get ready for grain filling.
Nice.
And then all those necks have been grain filled or thrown in a muddy puddle, I'm not entirely sure. And then, yeah, and then those bodies down there are all grain filled.
A busy week.
Yeah, as always.
Final shaping on some necks. Well, it's the last one actually. All the others have already gone back upstairs for fitting. So basically, yeah, they come off the CNC, but not quite there. As you see, there's still a little bit there. I've already done some work on the rest of the neck here, but shaping up to the headstock. Got a little bit of work to do. So it's just carving a line and then working up to that, basically. What's up with this one? It's been here longer than I have. But, see, there's a kind of straight line going across there, so this has got to be flat to meet that. At the moment, I've got this little bit of excess here that needs to come out. So I've got a fair amount to remove here.
Saves a lot of time. Not too bad with the Gibsons because they're already on a plate, so they sort of sit where they want to sit. But with the Martins, they're all these individual things. They're a bit of a pain to get them exactly in the right spot, and this helps me to get it right every single time, so that's nice. It also saves a lot of time, just in general. That's good. But this one, this is an AA model. It's got a different headstock shape, so I'll have to go back old school with that one and drill them all by hand. Yeah, it's Matt, one of Matt's creations again. Really handy. Just,
clever boy.
Yeah, just slots right in, just exactly where they line up, and then you just go in with your drill. Depth is all there, really going. Makes it all really, really easy. Before, they'd all be moving around and you'd have to make sure they're all exactly in the right place, which was always a pain in the arse. This makes what was a difficult job really, really simple. You can make it really simple, bloody well should. Presto, easy peasy.
Choose that one. Use that one. It doesn't work on you very well. I did it on mine. Oh, come here.
Did you get it?
No.
Oh, did I ever tell you about the time I met Eric Clapton?
Oh, really?
Yeah, no, I did. I went out to dinner with Eric Clapton.
Oh, just so happened to be there, did he?
I was invited to this dude. Eric Clapton was there, and then when I got there, George Harrison was also there. And weirdly, Bob Dylan was also there.
Oh, was he? That was nice of him.
And he had this dog with him. that loved eating sushi. Honestly, he had this dog. It was a Great Dane. And I was sitting in this club in London, and it was bizarre. And then Michael Douglas turned up.
No.
Yeah, honestly.
Really?
Michael Douglas turned up.
As in Romancing the Stone?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And yeah,
totally
it was bizarre.
believable.
It's true. It's true. Right, I'm doing the heel caps. I'm masking up this fretboard around. So we have to mask it up. So when we spray it, we don't get lacquer on the fretboard. So you have to do the nut. It's all quite precise. So I'm going to do this. Look. Put that in there like that, and then just going to get my little razor blade and cut that like that, and then
Yeah, I have to do this now because it's a bit overwhelming for Andy. So I kindly and bravely step in and just give it its sort of kind of beauty treatment. In many ways, it's probably the most important part of guitar making.
Boys and girls, this is what I have to do when Uncle Danny's grain filling. The thing is, it's not actually that noticeable on your face.
yeah.
So you can be quite normal.
That's because he used to smoke 80 fags a day, so he has to have that.
Yeah, it's got to really get it in there. It's quite messy stuff, but many a time old Uncle Andy stuck his fingers to the body on this one.
L36, look at that, that's guitar 1999. That must mean somewhere in the building 2000 is looming. 2000 guitars in 27 years.
Holy moly.
That is guitar number 2000, and it is the artist is Ian Ward. He's a friend of ours who lives only like 20 miles away from the workshop, and I saw some of his work on the Fender Custom Shop pages. Well, I saw this beautiful art, and I was like, oh, I like that, because we do quite a lot of art stuff with our friend Jane, painted guitars, and just so happened he lived just down the road, so now Ian's doing loads of work for us. In fact, one of those guitars in there is for John Mayer, and Ian's going to be painting the front of that as well. It's had a load of clear coat, I think probably 4 or 5 clear coats, and then I think we'll give it another 5 or 6, and then it'll be ready to polish. But the fretboard's got pearl blocks all the way down it, and so I've got an engraver in Sandwich. He's going to engrave some cool floral stuff on the fingerboard, so it's going to be a real peak. So on the decal we're going to have the Atkin logo, and then it's going to have the 43 2000 on it. You can just about make out those pearl blocks in there, so yeah, it's a real piece. This week we have got, this is the batch that we've just finished. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, so that is this week's production. It's Friday, and we've got a J43, and that is a Sitka top. It's got a slightly different burst on this, a smaller burst. Sometimes we like to throw in a slightly different sort of size burst, because a lot of the originals, I think it depended on how much they were they might get a bit carried away, and some of them the burst is about this big, isn't it?
Yeah, it's
tiny, yeah. So we thought that'd be quite fun. So we've got one of those. We've got here, that is a 47. This one is going to be relicked up actually. It's going to go to Guitar Village in Farnham.
Another J43. This one's got a really nice dark Indian rosewood board and bridge.
got
nice check-in on the lacquer on this.
Yeah, these have turned out really nicely actually.
Yeah.
Can you see that in the?
Also, actually,
So that's another LG. I think this is going to Max Guitars in London. Yeah, really pretty. So you get this sort of long, or this sort of row of the sunburst stuff. One of our black pearl LGs hasn't got the pick guard on yet, but these are proving pretty popular. Oh, that's a nice one. We've got.
this is our 38. So this is a long scale J45 with Indian rosewood back and sides. It's got a lovely burst on the back of the neck.
Yeah, we've done this sort of inlay pack on here. We have that on our jumbo guitars as well. But yeah, that's quite a smart one. And this sort of type of rosette with the binding going right around the sound hole internally. That's really sweet with the 5-stripe pick guard. So it looks really vintagey. Again with a nice crackly finish. We have 2 OMs. So I think it's going to the Fellowship of Acoustics in Holland actually. And one of these, I've got 2 of them actually. There's this one as well. One of them is going to go for relicking with Phil downstairs. So we get them pretty much to a sort of a new or an aged finish, and then we start sort of giving it the distress. So we want to try and do it in the way that a player would sort of naturally distress a guitar, but we speed it up. Now this we're all quite excited about. I'm going to bung that up there. Right, so this is one of our ASJ models. It's got this 2-tone green finish. So this is like a Gretsch thing. And we're starting to, I think you probably saw the gold guitar the other day, but we're starting to really play around with different colours. So yeah, that's really cool. Again, it's got that inlay pack. It's got Indian rosewood fingerboard and bridge. But on this, we're just making it at the moment. The pick guard will be cream with an engraved design, which will be filled with gold or maybe red. I'm not totally sure yet. Sort of blood red. So yeah, that's another new thing for us. So this one, I'm not sure where it's going yet. We just seem to make. This year we've really decided to make guitars that we are excited about, and so far every time we make one of these sort of special guitars, one of the dealers sees it and snaps it up. But yeah, pretty cool.
Certainly divided opinion in the workshop on this one.
I'm not going to say what I think. we've also got an LG 47 version coming out next week.
So we're going to do some rosetting today. So we're going to put the rings in around the sound hole. Before we show you the finished result. So this is the rosette, which is purely decorative really in modern times. Some would argue it protects the wood from the pick going through the paint, but really it's a decorative feature. So we've got our OM, or our 37 style, which is this part, 3 rings, quite a lot of materials in there, quite a bit of effort goes into getting those in there. So you're going to see me put a few of those in. So 37, and we're also going to do an essential, which is again a few pieces of material. It's a little bit more simple because the guitar's meant to be a little more understated. So this is our essential. Same principle of a 3-part ring, but each ring's a little bit simpler. And then to finish today's batch, we've also got a lot of what we call Gibson style. So go on our J43s, our 19s, our LG guitars. There's some here that have got their sunburst on. As you can see, it's a beautiful, simple single ring, but it takes quite a lot of effort to get it in there. And unique amongst our range, on the Gibson style guitars, the fingerboard stops short of the rosette, so we have to put a joint in the rosette and get that nice and tight. So that's what we're going to do. They're not going to look pretty and painted because they're just the boards with the channels, but we'll go in there,
get some material and show you at high speed, fast forward, how we do them. Cool, so we're just going to do 3 for this demonstration. 1 will be sped up because it will take a lot of time. So this is our tops. If you've seen the previous episodes, they get jointed, we get lasered out, loads of prep goes in. At this stage, they've been through the CNC team and they put us our channels in so we can guarantee we've got perfect size, perfect width every time without running the risk of moving the hand router. So we've got a Gibson style ready to go. We've got an essential style ready to go and a 37, which actually look really similar at this stage apart from the fact the outer channel's a little bit bigger. So I'm going to give them a little buzz with the sander, get rid of the mess, and you'll see these two are going really swiftly. Benefit of having done a few hundred of these in my lifetime. They're going pretty swift, and then the Gibson is a much slower effort because we have to precision cut each of the 3 bands. So I'm going to crack on with that. We don't pre-buy, we don't buy in our rosettes completed, rather we buy the source materials, so we've got lots of different thicknesses and colours from pure black, white strips, black. I'm going to get these muddled up. Black. I mean, every variation of colour really you could have. We keep things quite simple and we use wood wherever we can. So as I put these together, you'll see I'll be whipping in and out of here, getting these, chopping them and getting them slotted in. So the more curious amongst you probably wondering why we don't just cut the channels wider and the material goes in easier. Would make my life a lot easier, but it would also mean that when we finish the guitar we have gaps either side, and that'll mean that the lacquer falls in and they just look a bit naff really. So that's something you see on really mass produced guitars where they're just falling basically. We like to keep ours a little bit snug, keep me on my toes, give a nice finish. You can see here I might have to wrestle this one a little bit. That is ready for gluing. We'll do the other one and then we'll glue them both together. So now we come to the Gibson style one, which is going on an L36 guitar, one of our small body Gibsons. And these ones are not wooden materials, they're plastic. And these actually are the materials used to bind the guitar. So I won't make you walk backwards, Raf, but there's a little rack at the end of all the material in it. So this job starts for me on the bandsaw, splitting this in 2 to get this nice thin strip that we want that starts about double the width. And the actual rosette in there ends up as a triplicate of these, so I'll just trim them and I'll show you. So the actual rosette is made up of these 3 components, and it just looks like one consistent thing when it's on there. So we get that around the rosette and then it marries into the outer bind on the Gibson style, which is also the same cream, so it's real nice. It's a bit tricky to make. I think a lot of production guitar companies probably wouldn't persist with this, but we all like it, so we do. So we've got a channel which is intentionally going to be too tight. I don't think we'll pick it up. It's about 0.1, 0.2 millimeters too tight, so I couldn't really wedge that all in there and get it all the way around. We do that on purpose. I'm going to thickness this down by hand using a scraper. And we do it so that as we wrap around the circle and we come together at the top, we don't get a teardrop. By making it really snug, we get a circle. I won't waffle on about it, but you've seen me chopping this multiple times, and that's really what we're pursuing, is really snug, and we'll aim to get a really tight join at the top. Every now and again we get lucky and it's invisible, but not often. So that's what I'm going to do now. So with these ones I'll test run it all the way around, just because we do get minor variation in the channel, and as you just saw I thicknessed it by hand, so if I varied my pressure I could find we've got a fat bit or a thin bit. So now we know we've got a good width all the way around. It is really tight, like it's not coming out of there. So now we'll trim it and cut it so a perfect fit. And because these are plastics, we make the final cut really close, just so we don't have to push so hard, because like the white stuff particularly, as you cut it, you see probably won't pick it up. It goes really white. So if my final cut is a high pressure cut, I'll end up with like a white mark in the rosette. So we just get really close before we get the final cut on it. So although you can't see it on the camera, I'm just looking for the same angle on the mirror of the chisel. Also made my schoolboy error there of see, not everything goes right. There's a trim that off, but I wasn't quite up to the end. So that's not actually long enough now. So I've got to put another one in. So as I do that, I always cut them just a tiny bit too long, just so I can trim the end. Don't get it with the camera, but basically means the visible surface of the cream hasn't compressed, so we shouldn't get a big white mark. I'm going to find out now. I tested it before. Most rosettes we just run straight round to the top because the neck, this isn't the neck obviously, but the neck normally covers that top part. With the Gibson, the neck will stop about, or Gibson style, it will stop about there. So I'm actually going to get them nice and tight at the top and then shove the rest of it in. Really the priority of these ones is getting that top joint as neat as we can without obsessing about perfection, because try and keep that vintage mojo. So begin to put that in there now. Probably get the image now before I push it all in, but we get a real nice sort of snug joint on the two. Not trying to conceal it, but we want it tight, but also we get a nice continuous shape. That's quite a nice fit, that one. I'm going to push that one in, get it tight at the top, hold that, and check the fit on the rest of it. Actually, unusually, because you're filming, Raph, it went really well. That'd normally come in and out 3 or 4 times, get the right size, get the right fit, but it's a nice end result. And probably our standard we work to is that it should stay in there with no glue, and then we know we've got nice thick material. So that's it. We've got a Gibson style, got an essential, and we've got a 37. So it's all the same principle really. Sets materials into the slots. These styles a little bit more forgiving because the joint isn't visible. Gibson style takes a little bit more time just because it's all visible. So all that's left to do is drown those in glue now. We use a really funky thin super glue. We use a lot of this in the workshop. On the guide for how much glue for a rosette, probably put it on till you think you've got too much and then put a little bit more and you'll be about right. We actually double glue our rosettes, so I'm going to glue these now. We do it on the material, inside the ring and outside the ring. Oops, let's hope that does now. So we go inside, outside, and all over the top. If any of you are starting to think, wow, it's a lot of glue, we're not done yet. So we keep going, we really do drown it. This guitar top, after this, before it moves on to its bracing stage, it's got about 0.5 millimetre more of finishing to go off. So this will dry overnight. I'll then hand sand off the bulk of the glue because it will dry as plastic. Then I'll glue it again just to see if the glue can find its way into any more nooks and crannies. Leave it to dry again, and then so we thicken this down another 0.5 mil, and then finally hand sanded. So we really make sure that that thing is just locked in there, and the fancy pink glue gets right into the grain of the wood. It will get underneath it, in between all the bits. So yeah, loads of glue, lots of drying. There's some that I've done earlier on the drying shelf already.
Hi there, I hope you enjoyed the show. Did you enjoy the show, Lowell?
Yeah.
Yeah? Pretty good, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. If you enjoyed it, please subscribe. Where'd you go? Subscribe down there.
Yeah.
Yeah, subscribe down there or follow us on Instagram or Facebook. We'll see you next week. Thanks for watching.